Today we're going to be talking about acceptance and the mystery behind acceptance. The Google definition of acceptance is the act of saying yes to an offer or the state of being happy with how things are, which means you stop fighting with reality. That's the Google definition of acceptance. But I find it difficult to agree with that definition because you need to accept something before it becomes your reality. So I find it very difficult to agree with that definition. But that's by the way. You see, acceptance in itself is the mechanism that locks in your identity. And a lot of people don't really know the danger behind acceptance because they think of it as just casual. I said something in one of my videos that you do not become a failure because you failed. You become a failure because you accepted that failure. So you can fail 500 times. But as long as you choose not to accept your failure, you are not a failure. And a lot of people don't understand this fact about acceptance. They think it's just, oh, I accept. And the whole society is trying to push acceptance onto you because of the power it holds in itself. They tell you, oh, just accept who you are. Don't fight your reality. Just accept reality. But the truth is, it does not become your reality if you choose not to accept it. But there is definitely a part where there is going to be a distinguishment, which is accepting a fact and accepting a circumstance are two different things. We can all agree that the sky is blue. We can all agree that rain is falling. But the circumstance in which that rain creates is something you can either choose to accept or choose not to accept. Let me address something that is more realistic. See, a disabled person can accept the fact that they may never walk again. But the circumstance that disability creates holds a choice in which they should either accept or choose not to accept. Because the difference between accepting a fact and accepting a circumstance is that accepting a fact brings you to the decision on whether or not you should accept the circumstance behind that fact. So a blind person can choose to accept the fact that he's blind. He may never be able to see the beauty of this world. But he may choose not to accept the fact that makes him a disadvantage. And that is the difference between accepting a fact and accepting a circumstance. Because when you accept a fact, it places you in a situation where you have to either accept the circumstance of that fact, means the scenario in which that fact creates, or you choose not to accept it. But what you don't understand is that if you choose to accept the circumstance, it places you in a point at which you have no control regarding where you are going as long as that fact remains a fact. How do I break this down? If somebody was born blind and he chooses to accept the fact that he was born blind, it places him in a situation where he has to either choose that, okay, being born blind is a disadvantage, or he chooses not to accept that it is a disadvantage, which is a circumstance that the fact had created. So if you choose to accept that it is a disadvantage, your life begins to roam about that disadvantage. But if you choose to accept that it is not a disadvantage, despite it not being an advantage, you begin to operate on a different level. You have an impossible delusion that everybody keeps wondering what is driving you. It is the same reason why if you are poor and you choose not to accept that poverty, no matter the background you came from, it is impossible for you to remain poor. And this is why I want you to really understand the power behind acceptance. Because when you accept a circumstance, you have brought it and settled it with your identity. Let me give you a quick example. When I was growing in the whole freelance space, everybody I talked to was always so adamant on the fact that being a Nigerian is a disadvantage. And this is where the victim mentality comes from. Because I had the knowledge that clients would simply reject you because you are Nigerian. And while I agree with that fact, I never for once accepted it as my reality. So even when I got rejected, I never for once thought that it was simply because I was Nigerian. What did I do? I went back to work harder. And I've worked with incredible people because I never let that whole rejection become part of my identity and the whole stigma around being Nigerian. In fact, I joke with most of my clients that I'm a Nigerian prince. Some of them even call me their Nigerian prince. And that is the whole stigma behind being a Nigerian that most people remain stuck in. They've chosen that, oh, being a Nigerian is a disadvantage. Nobody wants to hire you because you're a Nigerian. So the slightest rejection they get places them in that victim mood that they think they are a victim of a circumstance. And the reason why they are a victim of that circumstance is because they chose to accept the circumstance and make it part of their identity. I want you to really pay attention to what I'm trying to show you. There is a stigma. Nigerians are scammers. But I chose to accept that fact. That is a fact. It is true that it is a fact. Most Nigerians, our reputation is that we scam a lot. But I know that I'm not a scammer. So I chose not to accept the circumstance of that. So because of that, it did not mix with my identity. So when I reach out to clients and I get rejected, I simply see it as I got rejected like every other person, be it Nigerian or not. So I worked harder and got better, and I began to move differently. Same thing that goes with AI is coming for your job. I have friends that went do practically the same thing, but they went out of work simply because of the belief that AI is coming for your job. AI is good. Yes, that's a settled fact. We understand that fact. But I choose not to accept the circumstance that AI is coming for my job. And this is something that you might see as trivial. You might see as no, it's not that deep. But it is, in fact, that deep. And because of this whole issue of me not accepting those circumstances into my reality and making it part of my identity, the amount of movement I've gained from just that one single decision, a lot of people around me have not had that edge. And I try to explain it to them that you need to stop accepting so many things, because there's only so much you can accept at some certain point in time. And that's why I want you to pay keen attention to this video. And you see, the society likes to push acceptance on everybody. They tell you, bro, just accept. Like, why are you fighting it? Like, this is the truth. It is the truth, but it is not my truth. I want you to pay attention. And the moment you understand that the fact that something is true does not make it your truth is the moment you start to move differently, either financially or in every other part of success that you are chasing in life. I'm not going to go deep into the whole feminism, patriarchy, capitalism, homosexualism, and all of that stuff. I want you to, after watching this video, to go and reflect, because it gives you this reflective thought to sit and think about how many of the things have you been a victim of simply because you accepted it as your reality. I want you to really sit and think about it, because it is very important. And when you sit and think about it, you begin to understand why certain people just move differently. You see, there are some people that they just cannot lose. They cannot lose no matter what happens. It seems like they are untouchable. You think it's just luck, but it really is just not luck. They've come to understand certain things about belief, acceptance, reality, circumstances, and you choose to see as casual. And that is the reason why they are easily distinguished from you and every other person that's around them. What acceptance does is that it sends an internal narrative to your brain that this is a settled fact and there's nothing we can do about it. So your brain stops looking to fight it. Your brain just accepts it and makes it a fact, and no other result can come from it. And that is the power of acceptance. So before you accept any circumstance right now, you're probably poor. So fucking poor you could not even eat in some days of the week. But the extent of your circumstance, regardless of the circumstance you are in right now, is the extent of how much you choose to accept it. You are poor, you are blind, you are deaf. If you are deaf, I don't know how you're listening to this video. You are short, you don't know how to read, you're a Nigerian. It is a fact. You don't have to struggle with that fact. Because a lot of people might watch this video now and say, oh, so if you are poor, I'm not talking about it in a sense of faith and let the poor say he is rich. No. I'm saying let the poor knows that he is poor. And because he knows that he is poor, choose not to accept that as a part of his reality. So when you choose not to accept it, your brain automatically begins to fight it in every possible way it can. So that is what I'm talking about. I'm not trying to paint a religious belief for you, but we are going to get there soon. So before you accept any circumstance you are in right now, I want you to ask yourself, what am I really saying to myself? What am I really adopting into my identity? Because identity has a lot to play in who you are as a person. I want you to pay attention to this, because this is a very important thing. There is a reason why even God cannot force himself into your life until you accept him as your Lord and personal Savior. My name is Abraham Bamidele, and you'll be seeing more of me on here. Cheers.